Welcome everyone. Today we have an amazing Falconer build over 500 corruption, and having a look at the Falconer, look at the gameplay, it is amazing. So this is a Scream Wipe Cold Explosion Ballista Falconer, and this is incredibly powerful, and you can see my friend CB here, he's critting for over 200,000 damage a pop, and everything dies on the map instantly. Yeah, watching this one, I was like, oh boy, I am playing Falconer wrong, am I? So yes, I've been looking for a lot of high level build and also footages for you guys, and that was one of the Echo mini boss. I've been looking for a lot of build and also footages for you guys, and my friend CB was playing Falconer. During the time of recording, he was playing at 500 plus corruption. Now he's over 900 corruption. So I'll be updating this build onto you guys once we get the footages for 900 plus corruption as well. And this is an incredibly powerful Falconer build. It is extremely glass cannon. If you look at his HP, it's less than 1000. But the damage it deals, it wipes the entire screen. Well, monsters can't kill you if they don't get to you, right? And this is an amazing kind of play. Look at this. Everything died in Echo within one shot. It is pretty amazing, right? So what we'll do is I'll have the entire replay to show you guys, but I really want to skip forward a little bit to show you guys the boss fights. So this is a 500 plus Echo boss with one of the shade, and you can see the Falconer is incredible. 500,000, 400,000. Whoa, this is like crazy damage, right? Did you see that boss? It was popping like 500,000, like 600,000 instantly, and it's almost gone. That was the shape boss. Wow, that was really fast. And yes, my friend have provided us with tons of replays to demonstrate its ability, its damage, its utility, and also the amount of burst, single target damage. It's incredible. It wipes the entire screen with most of the boss and also most of the fights. Well, now that we had a look at the highlights, then the question is, how does this work? So what is happening is, you can see that my friend CB is still wielding a one-hand sword which provide him with increased cold damage, together with the ability to explode his ballista. So what he's doing is he's resummoning ballista that explode the old ballistas, which deals tremendous cold damage all over the place. He's getting crazy amount of mana regen and also a lot of more cold damage, spell damage, minion damage, scaling with dexterity. So the concept of the skill is very simple. You'll be summoning ballistas and exploding them by summoning more ballistas that replace the current one. Now you also have great mobility using the Dark Shroud, or Smoke Bomb, I'm calling this Dark Shroud. You can be jumping around with Smoke Bomb, and this provides both utility, armor shredding, and also mobility in terms of traverse spells. Now most of the time you're just pressing one button, that is exploding ballista, and everything will die on the map. If you need, you can have decoy, you can have your other falconry spells to do more armor shredding, single target damage against the boss. But as you can see in most of the replays, you don't really need that. You are insanely fast in terms of mobility, in terms of damage, and in terms of everything that's related to the build. So yes, this is pretty much a one button high level farming build for the Falconer, and that is insane. And it wipes the entire screen. So this means even though you are quite squishy in the higher levels, well, you don't need to build anything defensive, because if the monsters can't get to you, they just pretty much disappear. And in terms of the boss, once you get your setup ready, when the boss comes, you will deal tremendous amount of burst. You just have to be a little careful with the boss mechanics, and you can see the shade here. It went to less than half HP within 2 seconds. You just have to be careful with the boss mechanics, and everything else just follow through. Now this does take some footman work, but if you can survive for 5 seconds, things will die. And this is an amazing build, right? Now, following from my friend's build, I have made the build planner from my friend's current build, and there are some variations, and those are the ideal stats. You can look for the tier 7 and then also look for the tier 5 ones over here. Now do keep in mind guys, if you're going to follow this build, there's two things you have to notice. One is that this is an extremely glass cannon build. You have negative resistance. You don't expect to take damage, you just kill everything. And the second to that is, there are some very rare unique items that you want to be looking for or farming before completing the build. So the 3 really rare unique items, well, the helmet is not that rare. You can find the helmet by coming over to the Lightless Upper Dungeon. But the 2 extremely rare items are gonna be the belt. This particular jungle belt will have a very rare drop rate, which is extremely rare even trying to roll this one onto the Ruins of Ascendance. With Ruins of Ascendance, it is at 1%, and it is extremely rare, and you should be farming for this one before completing your build. And you can be farming this one on the Fall of the Empire. So this build is really rare. Second to that, the build also uses a pretty rare relic. So the Marvin's Word is also a really rare item, so you can see over here. It is also considered a rare item that is farmable with the last ruin. So if we come over to the Ruins of Ascendance, it is one of the most rare relic in the game for, I guess, the uniques, with a 2% rate with Ruins of Ascendance if you try to roll for those. Now technically the build still works if you have those cold damage sword and also the helmet, plus the chest and also the boots. Those shouldn't be too hard to find. The chest will allow you to have a lot of mana regen for uncapped lightning resistance, while the boots will scale with dexterity to give you more cold damage and also even more spell damage by having less resistance. So the build is powerful, and having all of those unique items means you can be crafting so many legendaries, getting so much stats out of this. But there is a problem, of course, is how to collect those uniques. And I have showed you some of the ways to get extremely rare ones, and other ones you should be able to come by them. I do believe the Death Rattle is a little bit rare. Oh, actually, it's actually quite common. I thought it was rare. So most of the other ones, it should be more common. And once you have half of the setup, you should be doing incredible damage. You don't even need the full setup, and that's the best thing. Now for the case you guys don't have enough unique items for this build, we do have just posted another video for my friend Halfmind's build, which is minimal item requirement. So you can be using something similar to this build to get yourself started, to start farming with over 200 corruption, and then transform into our current build. So notice that this one is so intensive in terms of unique items that you actually want to start farming with dungeons and get some items with something basic. So make sure you come over to check out our previous guide, which will help you to get to level 100 and also farm Monolith super fast over 200 corruption. And after this, I'll also provide with you guys more ways of farming for more unique items in the game using the Monolith for the endgame. Now briefly going through the skills of highlight, you can see that Ballista is maxed out to level 30, and you can get this pretty high because of the plus skills. You'll be exploding Ballista that explodes into damage, and the damage is converted into cold damage. You'll be armor shedding and also deal additional damage with your Falconer, and also your dive bomb will help you to shed more armor. Together with the Traverse skill, having the smoke bomb over here turning into a Traverse skill and allows you to jump forward means you have great mobility. And also your decoys will provide you with additional mobility and also with additional armor shedding percentages. Now if we briefly look at the idols, you can see that most of the idols are here for offensive, and the negative resistance, it's okay. If they can't touch you, you won't get hurt. And as for the blessing, we're going for more offense with critical strike multiplier and also additional ways to deal more damage and also additional scaling. Now I did forget to mention, the build actually scales onto dexterity, lightning resistance, which provide us with additional mana. The part that the build scales with dexterity is going to be over here. So more damage per dexterity is 8% for the exploding. So this is why you see a lot of the stats on the build will look for tier 6 or tier 7 dexterity, which is very important to make the build even stronger. Now in terms of the loot filter, I have adjusted everything that is needed for this build into my loot filter with tier 6 and also tier 7 with more strict version. And as to before guys, if you're not going to play support pally, if you're not going to play Warlock, you can untick those. I have added everything I want for the Falconer at the moment, and those are two versions. The strict ones, I even removed the set items, just be aware of that. The not strict ones, we still have the set items. So make sure you know which one you're looking for. And yes, the loot filter for the Falconer at the moment will include this build, and pretty much everything that's related to everything good about Falconer. If you're doing dive bomb, falconry, ballista single target, or exploding target, this one will have the loot filter for you for this build as well. Just untick the ones you don't need, like Warlocks or Paladin. Now because we have talked about the skill rotations in the early demonstration part, I don't think I need to say much. Just for the boss guys, just make sure you stack some additional armor shedding to get the massive burst at the start. And what I do now is, I'll provide you guys with this entire replay of my friend CB, very thank you for him for sharing this one, to demonstrate the ability and also the combination for this one with over 500 levels of corruption. in the future, I'll look into the 900 or even 1000 corruption variation for this build to push even further with Falconer. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so, because I'll be learning with tons of the top meta, last Epoch build from different players in terms of solo and also in terms of co-op to push for higher corruptions, 800, 2000 here, and also different ways of getting top leaderboard with arena with leveling. And in doing so, we'll be learning multiple builds from the best players in the world. So make sure you subscribe and join me on this adventure to learn with last Epoch. And if you guys do have an amazing build, whether it's a fun build, it's a creative build, or maybe a top meta build, you can share with me on Discord, and I'll look into it, learn the build, and share with everyone on the Last Epoch community.